Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Who's that guy in that old shirt? Who must be the fence expert? Time to talk about the fences. It's time to discuss operations and expenses. It's time, it's really time to elevate small businesses. It's time for Joe to drop his knowledge. It's relentless. This rhyme of mine is getting a bit ridiculous. Here we go. We're live with Joe. Enjoy the show.
Guys, if you've been in the fencing industry for any length of time, heck, if you watched the show for any length of time, you know exactly who today's guest is. Caleb, for maybe the one or two people out there that are new to the industry or new to the show, maybe a brief introduction.
Yeah, great. So appreciate you having me on, Joe. To start, my name is Caleb Roth. I've founded a company called Stain and Seal Experts, which is basically a service business. I did that after getting out of the family fence business. It was an quick and easy transition. And we grew our service business, and along the way decided that we wanted to control the quality of the stains we were using. So we started manufacturing stains and sealers, and then split that into two companies. Expert Professional Wood Care is our manufacturing company, and we manufacture a full line of cleaners, brighteners, and stains and sealers and other type of similar products. And then later on, naturally, we decided we wanted to prestain lumber because not all fence companies want to stain in the field. So started a little company called Gopher Wood, which is a lumber company where we sell prestain lumber in custom colors. So that's us in a nutshell.
A little bit of everything. A little bit of everything.
Well, very
Well, a
niche,
lot of
but
everything.
broad and but deep, right? So
Right, right. Well, and I think a lot of fence contractors can appreciate this, right? Is from the fencing industry, you saw a need, in the staining and preservation of the wood material. Once you got in there, you recognized the need of a better product or product you can control the quality, and then it's kind of a sequential step from there on out.
yeah, it's a symbiosis of brands.
Well, let's start talking about pre-stain because that's something I think fence contractors, that's an easy win for fencing contractors that are offering wood products but not offering stain service. Because prior to pre-stain, it was really you started a staining division, which was the equipment, which was the training, a lot of training to make sure you didn't get the neighbor's Porsche dirty or you didn't do any of that. Now it's a little bit easier with the pre-stain product. And you guys actually have a couple options for pre-stain. Can we go through those a little bit?
Yeah, so I guess what really brought this was our background was staining university and teaching people how to start a staining business and how to do that because we knew the business. And what as time went on, we started really the main people that were calling us were like the top one or two top people in each market. And so we found ourselves constantly getting phone calls from the top guys, particularly in the fence business. And they're asking us, how do we start our stain crew? How do we do this? And it just kind of occurred to me, like, you're a fence contractor. Why are we going to start staining? Why don't we find an alternative means for you to get all the benefits of staining without having to buy the equipment, take on the overhead, the employees, and the risk and liability? And so that's where pre-stain was born, I guess. And we didn't invent pre-staining.
Sure.
This goes way back into probably the 100 years ago is where this started, probably, or maybe before that. But anyway, so we just decided that the top fence guys need to focus on what they do best, and that's selling and installing fences. And that adding on a staining division works in many operations, but the guys who are really trying to go hard and fast probably doesn't make a lot of sense. So that's where Gopher Wood came in. We started manufacturing pre-stained lumber and supplying it to suppliers and large fence companies. And so that's where that goes. And then we also can teach you and have the ability to help you do it yourself. You pre-stain your lumber, and you guys have the room for it in the space and the manpower to do it. Sure. And some people go that route, and then other people's, we have the option to just go ahead and buy it from us already done. And it does come in, we have Japanese cedar, we have Western red cedar, we have incense cedar. I think the great thing about pre-staining is, particularly for like a kiln dried Japanese cedar, is that most of the problems that wood has is because it's dry. So it comes over and then it gets wet, and you've butted your boards together. Now it swells, the boards crack, or similar type of issues. So when we pre-stain this stuff with an oil-based stain, we're saturating the wood. It expands, and so you don't have to worry about water getting into it and causing expansion and contraction later. So when we build a fence with our Gopher Wood, the boards are butted up when we install it, and they never shrink. They stay, and the lumber stays much more dimensionally stable. And so I think, the beauty of the stained wood is great, but the main reason I think fence contractors need to be staining and sealing is to prevent warping, cracking, twisting, and things like that. And so
it's
that was always our biggest problem. The customer, we build them a beautiful fence, they love it, and then 6 weeks later they hate us because we've built them a fence that is warped or cracked or twisted. And so I think the big idea of pre-stain is to offer a much better product to the customer, a much more beautiful product, but also a much more dimensionally stable product. And there's a lot of talk about other brands, of stains they have a lot of smell, a lot of solvent, and we don't do that because solvent doesn't preserve wood. Oil preserves wood. And so we use an oil in place of the solvent. And that's really what gives us our stability that goes into the cell structure of the wood and basically cross links and locks arms with everything in there and makes it to where this lumber just doesn't crack, it doesn't move. And so I think that's the idea of it for the fence contractor is to offer better, but also cut down on your own liability.
Well, it's a win-win, right? It's a better product to the customer. I mean, just without argument, it's a better finished product. It looks great for years. It's also a win for the fence contractor in a couple of ways. One, it's an additional source of revenue to where that they can utilize their existing teams to install. I mean, it installs just like your wood crew that installs wood fence every day will install this every day, and it'll be the exact same process. Additional revenue, same process, same manpower, same labor. So now all of a sudden we're taking a little bit more home anyway. The thing I love about it is hopefully you're putting signs on these fences. So it also keeps your fence on, or your sign on a fence that's going to look great for years to come.
Yeah, it's I think Henry Ford made all black cars, and then one day the red Model T came out, right? And I think the effect that had on people when they saw that, they said, wow, we've never seen anything like that. You have sort of a similar effect when people see a stained wooden fence being installed, because it's not normal. And when people see that, like, I'll give you a great example. One of our customers, they installed a pre-stained fence. They were installing a pre-stained fence. And the lady came across the street, and she had her fence contractor with her. And she had just bought and ordered a vinyl fence, paid a deposit on it, and it was on order. And she walks across the street and says, I want that, the pre-stained wood. And she calls her fence contractor and says, I want this. This is what I want. I want to trade my order in. And the fence company said, well, I don't offer pre-stained wood. And she said, okay, well, I want my deposit back. And she got her deposit back and hired the guy that works with us to build her fence with pre-stained materials. So wood really does, I think, have a place. There's a lot of need for composites, and people are coming out with vinyls and composites. Those are great. We used to have a vinyl fence company, a manufacturer. We used to manufacture vinyl fence back in the day, and it's a great product. But wood is always, you have wood, then you have, composites, vinyls, and then again, the most premium is always wood. It's always exotics and hardwoods. So wood is, it's a natural product. People love it. So might as well give them what they want.
Well, yeah. And depending on the region, in our region, a lot of the HOAs will require a wood privacy fence or a wood shadow box fence. They won't even allow for anything other than wood. So it lets you still operate in those neighborhoods, but with fences that are more premium looking, but also more premium in terms of longevity as well.
Yeah, and that's true. And HOAs, they want consistency, right? And so pre-stained lumber gives them the ability to install consistency in their neighborhood instead of, they spec this, this color cedar into the neighborhood, and then people go to Home Depot and buy 14 different cedar colors. and now you go in the neighborhood and there's 14 different shades of brown. And so consistency is a big deal. Well,
and, there are also then, 7 different shades of gray after 10 months, depending on what part of the country you're in. I think that's a major selling point as well is, everyone's driven through town and seen a gray old looking fence, but you always think the pre-stained or the stained fences in general are new, when really, there's a fence in our neighborhood at the entrance of our neighborhood that's been maintained regularly. It was one of the original houses. It's one of the original fences. It's probably a decade old. Looks great because they stained it and they kept up with it. So again, to HOAs, it's also going to let you offer them and the houses within the HOA a nicer looking product today, but also a very much nicer looking product 10 years from now.
Yeah. And one thing that's really great that we've noticed and we've heard feedback on is that generally guys that are buying gopher wood, pre-stained cedar, they can install that fence just slightly cheaper than putting up a pine fence and then coming back later and staining it. And so it's better product, and usually it's a little more cost effective for the homeowner too.
And from a production standpoint, it's much easier to manage the production process. Really, you've got your installation and then you're done. There's no scheduling a second trip or a third trip out to prep the fence, to prep the area. And then Caleb, as well as I do, once you've got it scheduled on the books, you can almost guarantee it's either going to be windy or rainy that day. You could be in the middle of drought, and that's the day it would choose to rain.
Cash flow is king.
Yep. So it allows you to keep your production schedules a little bit tighter as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for contractors just wanting to get into it, Go for Wood is a great way. I mean, you order Go for Wood just like you would order your normal materials, right? You order it by the bundles.
Yeah, we can sell truckloads to big contractors, and then but we're really working to get distributors in all regions of the country, and so we do have some distributors. Stevens Pipe and Steel carries our products. I think Viking and Bell Fence Supplier, they carry a good percentage of our products, and if you talk to them, they would, I'm sure, bring the Go for Wood in as well, and then various other smaller fence suppliers are carrying it as well. So if you got somebody that you're getting your materials from and you want Go for Wood, we'll happily get it to you through them.
It is accessible.
Yeah. And it's just goforwood.us or at Go for Wood on any social media. You'll see pictures. You'll see what it looks like. And the feedback's great. Everybody who buys it keeps buying it.
Oh, it's a great looking product. I mean, anyone that saw it at Fence Tech knows it is a great looking product.
Yeah.
So for guys that maybe have a little bit more space and are wanting to maybe control the process a little bit more on their end, you also have a pre-staining machine, right?
And before I go there, I will say this, that if you want to become a Go for Wood distributor, we'll protect your territory. So if guys, the distributors we have, we send people call us all the time looking for job lights. We send those through our dealers and distributors on that. So if you're thinking about carrying it, I don't want to promise and guarantee that we'll sell all of it for you, because if you're taking on a distributorship, you should have the ability to sell a product. But we do get a lot of calls, and our phone rings every single day, people looking for, hey, I need job lights, and
nice.
So when we get
so
a dealer,
also a little bit of
we're
kind of
sending
lead
them,
generation.
yeah, we're sending them that way, 100%, and we need that because we're doing the marketing and people are looking for it, so we need the distribution. And then as we segue into doing it yourself, you can do it yourself. We do have the expert stain and paint and stain machine. It works great. You can do it on the job site or in the shop. There's no pumps to give you trouble. There's no pumps clog up. Anybody who's pre-stained with any machine that has a pump, no matter if it's a $4,000 machine or a $400,000 machine, pumps clog up. They require maintenance. They get sawdust jammed in them, and so our machine is gravity flow, and it can't, we just don't have those issues. And so it's just as fast as a machine with a pump, except, a lot of these pumps on some of these machines don't have, they don't have like any kind of way to shut off the flow. So you got to stay on top of it. You got to watch it or it'll overflow on you. So you still, even if you got a pump, you got issues. So we like the gravity flow machine. It works great. And, it does a good job. You can set it up to stain one side or both sides. It'll do 12 inches wide, 4 inches tall, and you can make money with it. There's guys doing it.
It's pretty compact too.
Yeah.
I mean, you could fold this thing up and put it in the trunk of a car if you really.
Yeah, it's 130 pounds, so it's great. It's I can pick it up and go with it, but it's smart probably to have a partner. You can just grab it, take the legs off, throw it on the trailer or whatever. You can set it as a bench top. You can set it on the ground. You can run. You can run 16-foot boards through it and not push the machine over. It's sturdy, so it'll do log siding. It'll do pretty much anything you want.
Nice. And the thing I really love about it, so we've got a couple different options here. One, we were pre-staining prior to the machine, so we've got. If anyone's seen a pre-staining operation that was prior to a decade ago, you know exactly what we're talking about. The full immersion bath. The drip dry trays, the whole thing takes up a lot of space, and it takes a lot of stain to get that thing operational. The thing I love about your guys' machine is you can do it with as little as 5 gallons of stain. You can just a bucket of stain, pop it open, and you're already operating.
Yep. It's pretty sweet. Also
easy to clean. It takes one guy, I don't know, what do you think, 15 minutes, 20 minutes or something to clean that thing up?
10, everybody reports back to us 10 or 15 minutes. If you see these machines running on the internet, guys are all the time posting videos, and people say, oh my gosh, that'd be awful to clean. And then they say, no, it's like 10 minutes. You just wipe it out. It's easy. So it's pretty handy machine. I guess if you're putting like a paint or something in it, you want to take a little better time. But
Sure.
we're running non-drying oil stains, so they you can take you can have a set of black brushes and rollers and a set of cedar tone brushes and rollers and put them in a bucket and just reuse them later.
You're good to go. So one thing we use it for is maybe a case study for somebody else also is we still have our full immersion dipping that we use we use pecan as our standard. If you'd like a standard pre-stain fence, we love pecan, you'll love pecan, but maybe that's not the right choice in every, yard. So someone has some really dark trim around the house. We'll say, you know what, probably a walnut might look better on this house. Well, I don't really want to bring in a drum of walnut to run for one job, which is typically what our full immersion system takes, is not a full drum, but a pretty good portion one. Well, we can bring in 15 gallons, right? And that could do the whole thing. And that's for a pretty significant yard.
Probably stain 250 feet of fence with that on a pre-stain machine. Absolutely.
And just run it, and also comes out a lot drier than the full immersion. So it's also ready to go a little bit faster. So that's kind of how our use case. We do both. We'll use the machine for custom colors and use the full immersion really just for our standards. But the point being, there's a place for everything, I guess.
Yeah, it's tools for your job, right? So I still believe in dip tanks. We still have dip tanks here. We have, I don't know, 4 or 5 pre-stain machines that we have set on pallets, and we got the big automated equipment as well. And if we get a log cabin package, we're running it through the little machine. Mm-hmm. If we get a little small custom fence order, we're running it through machine. If we get some funky wood, like rougher head lumber, it's a certain style of like a raked finish, I prefer to do that in a dip tank, just because I really want that lumber to stand up and just completely dry. Because rougher head, it's a rough finish, but it's smooth. So if you kind of zoom in on that with a magnifying glass, it's a smooth finish, but it's raked, and so it just dries differently. So we like to dip that, or at least stand it up vertically to dry. But there's a bunch of ways to do it, and we're just trying to make it easy for everybody and make it accessible.
Somewhere else I've seen guys using the machine is in the yards during production. I've seen a few videos out there on social media like that where, they've got guys out installing the fence. They're running it through the machine as the fence is getting installed. So really kind of turning it into a conveyor belt system of fencing is they're running through the machine, they're getting put up, and then they're collecting a check and they're walking away.
Yeah, and this machine, that's what it was built for. So this machine's been around for over 30 years. It's an old design, and the manufacturer originally built this for painting trim boards. Like if how daunting painting white trim in a house can be. So this machine was designed to paint trim, so it could be installed already painted, and then all you got to do is a little touch-ups. And so it was designed to be used on the job site. And so that was heavily considered when they made this machine. And so we made the deal with the manufacturer on that, and then we had to modify the machine to our specification. We just made changes, made a bigger drain plug, made it easier where it would do both sides, things like that. And off we go to the races. It works great for our industry and others. Decking, fencing, trim painting, you can paint with it, you can stain with it, you can do whatever you want. And that's another beautiful thing about not having a pump, is you don't have to worry about if you're using lacquer in it, or if you're using latex, or if you're using oil. It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter at all. Let's back up for just a minute, Caleb, because when we're talking about the life cycle of how you got to today. You guys were in service for quite a while, as far as out there staining fence. Actually, when I met you, you were in the field and staining fence, but also using social media to show others, hey guys, it's not that intimidating. If you take your time, you can do it. I promise. You guys spent quite a lot of time in the service industry, really, really getting it right, really making sure that you had the process down.
Well, I grew up in the fencing business, and I basically, when I turned 18 and made my first sale, my dad said, all right, adios, it's yours. Take the reins here. And he stayed the boss, but I stayed basically you would call me the general manager. I ran all the sales. I did everything. So I knew the service business. I cut my teeth in it. And but I couldn't stain worth a crap. But I was really good at cleaning up messes, right? Because my mom made me clean my room when I was a kid.
Sure.
And so just the staining business, I got good at that just by doing all the same stuff I did in the fence business, answering the phone, quoting jobs, and providing a good service, and then making it right. If I messed up, I made it right. If the customer was a crazy person and we got it right, but they weren't happy, we just found a way to make them happy. And I think that's what we all do. And that's what we did in the service business. And so yeah, I mean, I'm wearing, it's backwards. I'm wearing the service brand today, and we love our service business. We call it the heart of our business. It's not the biggest part of our business, but it's the heart of our business, and we love it, man. We're excited about it, and I think I've kind of we've rebranded recently, so I've got like a new fire in my gut for it, and it's everybody's really really excited here for that.
Well, that's one thing I was going to bring up is you guys went from this branding to the branding that you're wearing today. Maybe we talk about a little bit of how you got to the rebranding conversation and when that made sense for you guys.
Yeah, so I've rebranded several times in several companies, right? And so I don't necessarily recommend it. Like, you shouldn't rebrand just to rebrand, because it's a painful process. But I'll give you an example. So grew up in the fence business, right? So I get this job. It's I don't know, it's a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 job. I can't remember, but it was years ago. I was an owner operator, and it was a 4-rail crossbuck fence for a guy who was very successful, very wealthy. And so he did his job, and part of the job was to replace a bunch of posts, replace some gates, replace busted rails, and then we were going to go back and spray it all black. And that's exactly what we did. And I remember that I was going to profit $16,000 on that job. And thought this is a great job. And I had it in my mind that I was going to buy like an off-road vehicle, like a Jeep or something. And I was just, when you get something in your head, you're looking at them for sale, you're making plans. And but when we finished the job, anytime I saw a successful older guy, I would always say, what advice would you give a young man? And I think I asked him, this is a very similar question, but I said for business, what advice would you give a young business owner? And this guy hands me the check, and he's got gray, white hair, and he looks me right in the eyes, and he said, don't buy toys. He said, invest in your company. And I just said, okay, Lord, thank you. And at that time, my company was this was my company, Central Tennessee Fence Staining. Notice the phone number is still the same, right? So this was my first company sign. And so I decided, okay, well, we need to go to the next level. And so I took that money and I rebranded the company. And that's when we became Stain and Seal Experts.
Okay.
And when I did that, I got the new name. It was, this things just came to me, right? I'm not a genius of branding or marketing. It's just like I prayed for it, and off, here it comes. It's in my mind here. And when we did that, I got the truck wrapped. I got the new branding. I did the website. I spent all that money on that. And then this amazing thing happened. People started calling me, and they said, we see your trucks everywhere. I had one truck. And then they stopped questioning my pricing. I was, sure. When you don't have a great brand, people are like, man, that's really expensive. Is that the best you can do it for? So-and-so's cheaper. They stopped doing that. And amazing thing happened. We started having a more profitable business, a business with enough net profit to actually take a profit and grow the business. And so that was my first experience with a rebrand. And I'm going to turn my light back on.
You got it.
Automatic lights were a great idea on paper. And so that was the first rebrand. And I did that rebrand in 2015. And so for years and years and years, people have been saying, we love Stain and Seal Experts. We love your branding. We want to be a part of it. How do we have our own? How do we get to be a location? And honestly, I was afraid to do that. I was like, I knew I want to do it, but I'm just afraid. I don't know how. And so it took us about 10 years to get to the point where we said, okay, we're going to make it an opportunity for others to join our brand. And so when we decided to do that, we knew it's now or never, right? And so we rebranded again. So I figured when we did our first rebrand in 2015, we were ahead of the pack. Nobody had a mascot on the side of their truck. Very few people did. And then you fast forward to the day, everybody's got a truck with a mascot on it. And
Yeah.
we were orange and blue and like a cream color. And I always said if I did it again, I would go more of like a red, white, and blue color scheme. And so that's what we did. So we just went into the new era with a brand that we thought would take us and everybody with us much further along. And so that's the rebrand. That's why we did it, was just to grow better. And amazingly, again, we've seen an elevation. We're getting higher end jobs, a lot better clientele. We're getting, the people, I don't know how else to say it other than to just say it. The people with money are calling us. They want us. They want the branding. The branding seems like, and they don't question our authority, if that makes sense. Like they're deferring to us. They're like, whatever you think, we want it. We just want to use you. And so that makes it easier to do business. And so that's why we rebranded. And so if anybody's on the fence about rebranding, I think there's a couple of books you need to read before you do it. You need to have a good understanding of what you're doing, and you need to hire somebody. You need to pay for it. I mean, you need to hire a professional to do that, because it is, it makes a difference.
So what are the books you'd recommend, Caleb, if you don't mind talking about that for a second?
Building a big small business brand.
Okay.
That book is written by a guy named Mike. I want to say Mike Iaconelli, but that's like a famous bass fisherman. So I know that's not the guy's name. But then he's also got another book called Branded, Not Blanded.
Oh, okay.
And so those are great books to read and just get an understanding of it, and understand what the whole branding does. And it's and I think also to understand what your brand archetype is, which is something that I just recently found out about. And I wish my light would come back on. But a brand archetype is kind of like, if you think about Harley Davidson, like they're the rebel, right? And you got different brands that are caretakers, they're sages. You got the everyman. Amazon's an everyman brand for every person, right? Mm-hmm. Harley Davidson is for like the rebels out there, the outlaw, right? And so you need to, and when you understand who you are as a brand archetype, it makes it a lot easier to be genuinely who you are to your customers. And so I think that's something you need to understand as well, that I just found out about like late last year. Blew my mind. I don't know how I've been in business this long and didn't know. But once you see those brand archetypes and you see all the different brands and who they are, it makes it really easy to go, oh, it makes sense. And there's colors that go along with it, right? And there's ways that you speak to people, and so it makes a lot of sense, and it's a good thing to understand.
That sounds like a whole episode all by itself.
Yeah, well, I'm not an expert on that, but I definitely researched it, and when if I had to go back, I would know that first. What is my brand archetype? And then we can build a brand around that, and that makes it way easier.
Interesting.
Like, right? Who are we? Who are we? Right?
So now, when you're talking about the rebranding, you said people were reaching out to, asking if they could, if you could share your success with them, or in some version of that request in their markets.
Yes. So we decided in late 2024 to franchise Stain and Seal Experts, and we have done that. And so we have several territories spoken for, but we have many territories available. And the idea is, in Nashville, when we started staining, the market was very soft. The market was very hard to make it was hard to make a living staining. We worked really, really hard and built the market up, and then tons of people came in charging similar prices or just offering us a higher level of service. When the level of service goes up, the price goes up, and the expectation goes up, right? And so that's what we did in Nashville. We grew the market. It was really good. And so we're looking to partner with people who want to be the rising tide that raises the ships in their market. And so we're not looking to partner with people that are going to come in and cut throats and steal, advertising slogans. And, people do that to us. People are always putting, we are the Stain and Seal Experts and it's a painting company that says that, right?
Yeah.
And they do all these things, and so we're wanting people that are going to have a similar value system to us, and so we're like vetting the people extremely well, and we're in charge of the marketing, so that makes it even easier.
Nice.
And so we're looking for people that want to be number one. They want to grow the market, and they have no problem being the highest priced guy in town. And I don't say that in an arrogant way or to make people think that we're trying to overcharge people or something, but the level of service that we're building into our operations is costs more money, and so we just want to offer that highest level of service, find people to partner with on it.
And the thought around that is, and I heard it said, actually, I heard it in a group, both of us are in the Contractor Fight Club. They were kind of explaining, they said, you can get a steak a lot of places. You can get a steak at Waffle House, you can get a steak at Applebee's, you can get it at Longhorn Grill, or you can get it at your local chop house, right? Your local steak spot.
Right.
And each one of those is going to be priced differently. Right. And a lot of it is based on the experience, based on the value you get out of the dining experience as a whole. Waffle House will not be the same price as a Longhorn Grill or a local steak shop. But you're also not expecting the same level of service at Waffle House that you would get there. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're talking about is really you're looking for the folks that probably do the best are the ones saying, hey, I kind of recognize where I would like my value proposition to be. And it's not, no shade to Waffle House guys, but it's not the Waffle House of Stain, right? It's going to be one of the nicer options of Stain. That's
the plan. That's the goal. And that's what we do here in Nashville. And we want to continue that nationwide.
So what does an ideal franchise candidate look like? Are they experienced in the industry? Are they new to the industry or expanding into it? Is there a model that kind of works best?
There's probably like three. One is going to be the guy who's already doing business with us. Guy who he's worked with us. They're already in the family. They want to grow. Maybe they're really great operators or maybe great at growing teams, but they don't understand marketing as well, or they don't want to worry about the SEO and the website, and they don't want to worry about, how do I hire people, right? And so that's where we come in and fill those gaps, right?
Sure.
So that's one type of person, the person who's already in the business, they just want to go further. And then you're going to have people that are like, they've never been in a business like this before. They just, maybe they just retired from their first career and they're ready for a second career, or maybe they're just in sales and they're 28 years old and they're good at sales and they understand business and they just want to do their own thing. And those would be, probably a second buyer person that would go into that business. And then the third is, I would say maybe like a fence company that wants to stain also for their competitors. They want to stain their competitors' fences too. And so they would come in, they would get a franchise, and they would have it under the Stain and Seal Experts name, where they could stain for everybody in the market instead of just their own jobs. And there are fees with franchises, like it's like anything else, but it's like but you get a business, right? You get you get everything, and it's quite substantial, And the one thing that's different about our franchise, most franchises, they teach you how to sell jobs and teach you how to hire subcontractors. And this is in every industry. I'm sure the fence industry may be this way as well, but like the painting industry, you name it, it's that way.
Yep.
We actually understand the service. We know how to produce the jobs. We know the tools. We know the trade. We know and we have the people to teach it and train on it. And so that's really going to be the big difference in us, is we not only know the business, the scaling side, the marketing side, and things like that, and have a powerful brand, but we got people that know what the heck's going on job sites. So you don't find yourself lost in the ocean, on a raft, not knowing how to get home. So those are, and I'm sure there's anomalies, right?
Sure.
Probably other people that are interested. And we've had people that have worked for a fence company for years and years, and they want to do their own thing. And they think the stain may be a good alternative aside from fencing. And so that was the way I got into it. So.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, is maybe somebody that has worked in the fence industry, maybe not owned the business, but has worked in it, is super familiar, knows that might not be the niche they want to stay in, but they want to stay in a related trade. But also they haven't run a business before. And so really in my mind, when you're talking about the franchise opportunity, that's one of the key selling points is, it's not a business in a box, right? But it's something akin to that, right? Saying, hey,
yeah, if you've got business experience, it's very helpful. Like,
Sure.
Like we've got a guy who's got a territory, and he had a very successful flooring company, and his flooring company's still successful. And he said, I like this vehicle better. I'm going to get out of flooring. I'm going to go straight into this.
Nice.
And so it's, you never know, but I think definitely business experience is huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Makes sense. Let's talk about stain a little bit. I mean, we're kind of jumping around, but there's a lot of ground to cover. Let's talk about the expert professional wood care products side. Is what's going on with the stain side?
Growing. It's we're getting new distribution and new dealers, and it's great. But we are growing also in like more products, more offerings, and so probably. Some of the things, like we have fence and barn paint coming out, which is going to be, I've got the color swatches right here, actually. We've got, we got the green, right? We got the white. We have obviously black. That's the main thing. And then we got like barn red and like a chocolate brown color as well. And so those things launch any day now. We've got like an eco stripper coming out. So a lot of guys get calls for stripping old coatings off, and you've got to use some really harsh chemicals to do it with. We have a stripper now we're calling eco stripper, and you can get it on your hands. You can wipe it on your skin. It will not hurt you. You could actually, I don't want to say you could eat it, but if an alien ate it, it probably wouldn't hurt them. An extraterrestrial. Right. So the stripper is really good, and it works on water-based coatings, and it'll work on oil as well, which is kind of unheard of. So that was the thing we've been working on for a long time, and there's kind of some need in the market for that. And so we're going to launch that, and hopefully it'll be a replacement for our caustic stripper, because, caustic chemicals are caustic. And so we're just working to get better products in people's hands that are maybe safer to use, because that's, we're kind of the safer choice a lot of times. Yeah. And so we want to continue going down that trail and blazing those trails. And then I've got some other things coming out that I'll save them till we launch, but we've got a handful of other products too, in particular, that are going to be kind of game changers, and that will work with anybody in the staining business, but it's just a whole nother opportunity, if that makes sense, for the anybody who installs or owns wood on their property.
Interesting. Okay.
I'll tell you about it. I'll tell you about it backstage, later
okay,
on.
You got it.
But yeah, we got some cool stuff coming. That'll be really neat, and it'll kind of be it'll broaden us just a little bit.
Nice. Well, in talking about growing, you guys are physically growing as well. So you're coming to us from the new facility, where you guys are fully up and running, fully operational there.
Oh yeah, we've been here for a while now. We love it.
Yeah,
we need more space. If you ever build a shop for yourself, no matter how big it is, build it bigger. Yeah, because you always need more space.
I was actually just listening. Dan Wheeler just had a podcast about that. About hey, if you're building a shop, build it bigger than you think you want or need. I tell that story about here is when we moved in to this facility, it was about 10 times larger the facility we were coming from. So of course we're all kind of walking through, wide eye going, golly, what are we going to do with all this space? I mean, I don't even know. Fast forward a handful of years, we're like, do we have a spare corner anywhere? Is there a square foot here that we don't have something? So great piece of advice, both from yourself and from Dan, is build bigger than you ever think you might need, because you'll find a way to utilize it.
And I would say go significantly bigger. Like if you want to grow, if you don't want to grow, some people don't want to grow, but if you want to grow, and you're going from 1,000 square feet to 5,000 square feet, but you can swing 10,000, get the 10. Yeah. If you can swing 25, get the 25 and lease some of it out. Right. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a great opportunity, right? So you could rent 25,000 or build 25,000 square feet, and you could keep 5,000 for yourself. And then you can lease out spots and have income. Yeah. And then as you need it, you could grow into it. So anyways.
And it gives you the opportunity, or it gives you the chance to look for opportunities.
Yeah.
right? To grow into that space. I mean, that was our story. That's our story on e-commerce is we had extra space. We're like, well, I mean, we could try it. We got some space.
Did you ever get the old Coke machine though with the open top?
No.
I don't even know how you live with yourself.
Well, now that you said it, it's back in fresh in my mind.
If I get
those
one
things are
before
like
you,
magic.
man, if I get one before you, it ain't gonna be good, right?
No, I'm going to hear all about it. I just know I am.
Yeah,
No,
I
what's
think I'm gonna
funny
get
is, so that's a very timely question. We are just met with our radio team and we're kind of refreshing, dusting off a few of the golden oldies. And that's one of them was that Coke machine. Cause everyone can relate with it. I'm still, listen, there's been a lot of engineers reach out like, hey, here's exactly how that thing works. Like, yeah, I believe you, but I prefer to say it works by magic. I mean, how do you keep it cold when the top's open? I don't know.
That's awesome. But but the thing is you've got the opportunity to have that memory for your kids too.
Yeah.
And have that Coke machine there. So I'll just stick the ice pick a little deeper in.
Appreciate that. The search continues.
If you want me to start sending eBay listings to you, I'll be glad to do that.
Listings. Yeah. Help push this forward.
I'll call you in 2 weeks and go, Joe, I got a Coke machine for sale.
You're not going to believe what I found. But so new facility, and bringing this back around, new facility, not newer now, really allowed you guys to expand. And it sounds like it's allowed you guys to find opportunities as well.
Yeah, I mean, we found opportunities. I think the biggest opportunity for us was the team, is building out the team. We built the facility 2 years ago, and then last year we really built out the team, and then this year we're going. There's levels of business, right? And as we go, you got to build new foundations every year, and so that's this year is we're really letting our all the talent do what they do and build, and I think next year is going to be out of this world.
Well, I'll tell you from my perspective. So we interact with you guys a lot, not only through the show, but we sell the stain here locally. We pre-stain materials. I mean, we work with you guys a lot. I tell you what, you've got a heck of a team. I mean, it seems 100%. Like you guys put a lot of effort into that.
Yeah, I think as the as the leader of an organization, your main job, I'm coming to find out that your main job is to hire world-class talent. Like that's the job. And for people, especially like me, who is raised to really be on the rock bar, like, give me that rock bar and I'll start. That's it's a different way of thinking. And so I've come to learn that over the last few years that my job is to get really good people, and really good people take really good care of my customers. And so that's what it's all about. And we got a great culture, man. I mean, Matt's taught us a lot on culture, and we just don't have problems that other companies have. And a lot of it has to do with having the backbone to not let it happen in your company. Right. Sure. And so I think that's a big thing. Like if somebody calls me and says, what do you do about no call, no shows? I'm like, we don't have no call, no shows. Everybody comes to work here, and because we don't allow no call, no shows.
Yeah.
Right. So
it's just not acceptable.
Yeah. So we've worked hard on the team. That's what I'm most proud of. The building's great, but the team's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Hey, one thing we hadn't talked about yet, but I want to talk about, I guess, from my perspective and get your opinion is local stain sales, right? So, I mean, we sell the full line of stain here at Ozark Fence locally. And it sounds like in talking with other fencing contractors, even other like local, I would call us like a local supply house as far as fencing material goes. That's not super common. It sounds like for fencing companies that are local shops or local supply houses, it doesn't sound like that's that common. Or is it?
I think if you were to do a deep dive on fence suppliers that are like small, one off, maybe two locations, like, and I would say for every one location, there's probably 51 locations to compared to people that have actually two locations. It's probably like a 50-to-1 ratio, or maybe a 500-to-1 ratio. Who knows? Yeah. But I think a lot of people who've been in the business for a while and they have a location, it's natural to say, well, hey, if people come in and they want to buy our fence pickets that we're going to use, we'll sell them to them. And I think that's what happens. And so having stains there is it's a good thing. And then the supply houses that do carry our stains, they sell them and they keep reordering.
Yeah. They're great.
And then the ones that we call on and they don't want to sell stain, they don't sell it. They don't deal with us and they don't sell a stain. But if you look at the sales of our stains from online retailers and of all other brands of stain in their market, it's a huge opportunity they're missing out on. So I would say if you've got a small fence supplier company, we'd love to work with you. You know, it's
particularly if you sell wood materials. It's such an easy add-on.
The great thing is if you just sell the fence and then you say, I'll give you a $50 discount if you buy the stain from us too, and you sell them the fence, you install it, and on install day you deliver the stain and you drop it off, and you make a couple $100 extra on every job, and your customer gets the product to use. If at the very minimum, you could do that.
Well, I always think about it like, so down at the lake, every grocery store there, you go and you buy your drinks, you buy your snacks, whatever you're going to take out on the lake with you that day. Every single cashier checks you out and then looks at the cart. Did you get your ice? Oh, no, got to get
bait?
The ice.
Did you get the bait? You're at the lake. Did you get the bait, right?
Easy upsell, right? So, hey, I got all your wood material here. Did you get the stain? Because you're wanting to preserve this, right? Have you gotten that already from somewhere else? If so, want to make sure you're covered. But just want to make sure you got it. Well, no, I hadn't thought about that. And then that opens up the conversation to one, selling stain, right? Or two, have I talked to you about, because then the conversation is, well, I'm not even set up for stain. Like I don't have the equipment. I don't have this. Well, great news. We sell pre-stain material. You don't even have to get your hands dirty at all doing this. Yeah. Let me have that. If you got 5 minutes, I'll take you out. We'll look at it and we'll talk about it.
You got the pre-stain opportunity. You've got the we'll do it for you, the done for you opportunity, and you've got the material opportunity. And what a lot of guys fail to realize is, when we have a line in the middle of the screen here and one side is revenue and one side is net profit, like 1% more revenue might be 40% more net profit.
Yeah.
And so the thing is you've acquired the customer, you've got the cost to acquire the customer, and now as we increase that lifetime value, we're increasing the value of our business, our multiplier if we ever go to sell our business, but we're also increasing that net profitability, which is huge.
Well, yeah. And you're also an additional resource.
Yeah.
No. At least in our market, I know every market's different. You cannot go to insert name of big box store here and get a pre-stained picket. Now, I know I've talked to people
there's a few and
their
the
markets
quality is just not great.
Yeah, right. But we don't even have any, like even not even the bad quality ones. They're not there. So then that allows our contractors that we're selling to offer it to their clients, right? To set themselves apart. Like, hey, I can give you a natural cedar, but also I can give you a pre-stained cedar that's going to look great. And now they're a step ahead of whoever they're competing with for that project of, oh, well, they didn't even tell me that was an option. Well, no, of course it's an option.
Well, I think
it's a win-win.
I think people want to go to a one-stop shop now more than ever.
Absolutely.
It's simplicity. They don't want to. Time is a valuable resource. If we can save it, we'll just do it now.
Agreed. I'll tell you, we sell a decent amount of concrete from here. And anyone that's bought from a big box store understands that concrete is their loss leader. Like we buy it from the manufacturer, but it's got to be run through one of the big box stores here locally because the big box store sells it cheaper than the quarry that's bagging the stuff across town can sell it to us for, which is wild. But then you learn, well, that's a loss leader because they know if you're coming for concrete, you're probably going to pick up your posts and your rails, your pickets, because to your point, they want to be a one-stop shop.
Yep.
So now we sell a tremendous amount of concrete and we are absolutely not competitive with the big box stores, but did you get your ice? If we got your posts, did you get the concrete?
I think most people too, they're happy to do business with local too. Like yesterday, me and my wife stopped at a greenhouse and we bought a bunch of flowers and blueberries and tomato plants. We bought all the stuff, and it was a guy who had a family farm. I went to school with him. He's built a big greenhouse and a creamery, and they milk cows and all this.
Oh,
I
wow.
know I paid $30 a piece for the blueberry plants. I can get them for 15 up the road, but I wanted to, it's like people support my business, and so I always want to support theirs. So I think a lot of people think that way. So it's not taking advantage. It's opportunity, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed. Caleb, I feel like we've covered a lot of ground here. We've talked about prestaining. We've talked about the rebranding. We've talked about franchise opportunities. We've talked about staying. We've got some new options. We've got some options coming down the road. We've talked about kind of that retail distribution opportunities where if you're a local supply shop, you should be offering stain. Covered a lot of ground. If someone wanted to learn more, how would they learn more about where would you send them if they just say, hey, I'd like to figure out the pre-staining, or I'd like to figure out offering stain?
Yeah. So we have multiple places, each brand has a website. You have expertwoodcare.com, you have stainandsealexperts.com, you have gopherwood.us. And I think we have restorativeindustries.com. I'm not sure if it's up and live yet or not, but not yet, but it's coming, and that'll give you kind of a place for everybody to go. Maybe at the time of this recording,
okay,
you'll be able to see that. But yeah, you can always call us.
Sure.
We have people that answer the phones all day, every day, so we're always there, and would love to help you. It doesn't matter if you're using another brand of stain or something, and you're trying to strip an old product off. It doesn't matter. We're here to help. If you're trying to get into the business, just ask questions about whatever pricing, marketing, application. It doesn't matter. We're here to help. That's what we do. And so we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to do business.
What's that number, Caleb?
615-785-1861.
Perfect.
I think you can also call this will get you to our service, but it all goes to the same office, 1-844-STAIN-IT. That's an easy one. Stain it. So
very good. Very good.
I appreciate you letting me come on the show, man. I really do.
Thank you for being available. I really do appreciate it. We covered a lot of ground, but I'm glad we were able to cover it all. I appreciate you being so willing to come on and spend some time out of your day.
The only thing missing is tacos, man.
Everybody needs a good taco in their life.
It's lunchtime and I'm feeling it. Yeah.
Very good. Well, Caleb, thank you again so much. Guys, if you've got questions out there, leave them in the comments below. If I can help you, I will, or I can forward them to Caleb and the team, and they can try to help you as well, or reach out to the team directly, of course. Guys, appreciate you tuning in with us. Until next time, I'm Joe Everest, the fence expert, joined by
Caleb Roth at Stain and Seal Experts.
And reminding you that good fences
make good neighbors.